Okay, welcome back. This is going to be part two of my television collection, and where we left off with letter C. So let's start off with, I have 4 volumes of the Carol Burnett Show. Okay, 4 volumes of the Carol Burnett Show. One of them is called The Lost Episodes, The Final Show, Carol's Greatest Hits, and then I have this bootleg thing. This is volume 2. Don't ask me what happened to volume 1 of the Carol Burnett Show. I think these were the. You remember they had the Carol Burnett and Friends that played endlessly on TV for a lot of years without the musical numbers and all that. So I love this show so much, and it was on for 11 years. I absolutely love this show. And Joe, my friend, Mayo's Movies, said in his video that he wishes that they would just put all the shows out on DVD, every season with musical numbers and everything. And I agree. I wish the hell they would. One of the best things that was ever on television. From 1967 to 1978. Wow, what a great run. Next up, I have season 1 of the Charlie's Angels. And I got this because it was only about $6, so that shows you where my head's at. But also because I like the first season because it has Farrah Fawcett. Or back then it was Farrah Fawcett Majors. And I think that was probably the best season. So Charlie's Angels. Next up, this is a classic. This is a TV show that I loved when I was a kid. It's called Checkmate. It ran from 1960. Maybe not. Hang on. I believe it was 1960 to 1962, right? Yeah, 1960 to 1962. So it didn't last a long time. It starred Anthony George, Doug McClure, and Sebastian Cabot. They had this little detective agency with kind of a twist. They were hired by people to prevent crimes from happening. They weren't there to investigate things that did happen, but to help prevent crimes that people thought were going to happen. So it had a nice little. It took place in San Francisco. Very good show, black and white. Lots of cool guest stars. The first episode has Ann Baxter. I mean, that's pretty cool right there. Some of the other people that were in this. Let's see. Oh boy. Ann Baxter, Joseph Cotton, Patricia Neal, Mickey Rooney, David Jansen, Angie Dickinson, Jack Lord, Tony Randall, Cloris Leachman, Martin Landau, Julie London, Buddy Ebsen. Music by John Williams. Love the show very much. Okay, next up, I talked a little bit in the last video about the Western Cheyenne, and I have all 7 seasons of this terrific show. I just brought down one to show you. Clint Walker. I mean, it really was a pioneering Western, and Clint Walker became a huge star. Well, huge. He was what, 6'5" or 6", something like that. And lots of great guest stars over the years. Really wonderful. All right, next up, yet another Western. This is one that I don't remember seeing when I was a kid. Cimarron City, starring George Montgomery and John Smith, who later on was in Laramie. And I found this nice little tin thing with only 4 episodes, but yeah, it's pretty cool Western. Something else I'd like to see more of. Next up, going back to the 1950s, the Colgate Comedy Hour, starring Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin and Lewis. And this Colgate Comedy Hour was on for a long time during the 1950s with a lot of different hosts, but for a while it was hosted by Martin and Lewis. And so somebody put out this 16 classic episodes, and I started watching these the other day, and they're really freaky. Back then when things were done live and all kinds of mistakes were being made, people were forgetting their lines and all that, but these guys were really funny, and Dean Martin gets to sing, so that's always nice. Next up, okay, here's one of my cinematic and TV obsessions, and I certainly have a lot of them. This is old TV commercials, right? Something I just cannot seem to get enough of. And so I have a whole bunch of compilations like this one, 1001 Classic Commercials, All-Star Classic Commercials with people like Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. We have Marilyn Monroe. She actually did a commercial. Bob Hope, Red Skelton, Abbott Costello. I think Buster Keaton is on here. Steve McQueen, Steve McQueen teaching you to smoke. Here's something. Oh wow, I bought this at a Star Trek convention. I can't believe it. Old Pepsi-Cola commercials from 1946 to 1984. How could you not have that in your collection? This is something, food and beverage commercials from the 1950s and the 1960s, mostly in black and white. You know, happy families drinking coffee at the kitchen table. It's wonderful. Here we go. Cigarette commercials. Huh? Yeah, all right. Shows some of the big stars. Some of the things you saw in the All-Star commercials, but all about cigarettes. Back then when they used to have doctors come on and tell you about the healthy cigarettes to smoke. Yeah, sure they did. Here's another one. More classic commercials. And I still have more. Yes, there is more. A couple of blank cases here. One of these has, let's see, this is called the Video Supermarket. A whole bunch of, once again, food and beverage commercials from that era that I used to have on VHS. This is, I don't know what the hell this is. I guess it's just another collection of commercials that can't even remember what's on it now. And then finally, this is something I bought from somebody on the iOffer website. They have a lot of sellers that sometimes put things together on their own. This is called Coffee Problem. And it's all about commercials and industrial films about coffee. Let's see. Some of the titles are This is Coffee, Time for Coffee, Coffee Break, Another Cup of Coffee, and more. And it features Mrs. Olson, remember? Mrs. Olson, Folgers, the richest kind. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Anyway, those are great fun. Great memories of my sad life. Now we're up to the letter D. And here is some of the shows from Dark Shadows. This is, let's see, 6 discs, 50th anniversary collector's edition of Dark Shadows, which I remember back when it was first on. Used to watch it with my mother in the afternoon. Yeah. So those are a lot of fun to have. I'd like to get the entire big box of Dark Shadows, but that's a lot of money. And I also have, of course, the 1991 revival of Dark Shadows, living color, blood all over the screen, great cast of actors, Ben Cross, Barbara Steele, Gene Simmons. Wow, I like that show a lot. It's too bad it wasn't a success. Would have been really nice to keep it going. Next up is a show, I believe this was syndicated, 39 episodes of a show called Decoy from 1958 or 57, started out in 57. Beverly Garland, great actress from that era, played a policewoman named Casey Jones, and it was a very serious, very groundbreaking show to have the first woman to play a police officer and be the center of attention on a television show. It had a lot of great location shots in New York City, so you get to see the city the way it looked back then. Very good stories. Very, very good show. Okay, next up, another classic show from the 1960s, The Defenders, starring E.G. Marshall and Robert Reed as a father and son law firm. They were defense attorneys, and we have some of the best controversial subjects, all kinds of racial things and abortion, all kinds of really gritty things that were happening in the society of that time. This ran from 1961 to 1965, and unfortunately it looks like this is probably going to be the first season that they're going to put out. Shout Factory put this out a couple of years ago, and I guess it didn't sell very well, so it's very unlikely that they will ever put another season out, which is too bad, because that was another one that I never missed when I was a kid. Okay, next up, this is something I picked up at Big Lots. I don't know anything about it. Maybe some of you do because it's fairly recent. Defying Gravity, and I guess this is season 1. And again, I know nothing about this. Haven't put it in to watch it yet, so we shall see. Next up, I have 3 compilations from my favorite talk show history, The Dick Cavett Show. I like Dick Cavett so much. I still think it's one of the most intelligent talk shows, best conversation. Plus, I think Dick Cavett has a great personality. He's very funny. This one is all about rock icons, okay? It has guests like David Bowie, David Crosby, George Harrison, Janis Joplin. 3 episodes with Janis Joplin are classic. Jefferson Airplane, Joni Mitchell, The Rolling Stones, Ravi Shankar, Paul Simon, Sly and the Family Stone, Stephen Stills, Stevie Wonder. Terrific, terrific memories from my childhood. This is the Hollywood greats. We have people like Fred Astaire, Marlon Brando, Mel Brooks, Frank Capra, Betty Davis, Kirk Douglas, Katharine Hepburn, Alfred Hitchcock, John Huston, Groucho Marx, Robert Mitchum, Orson Welles. Great conversations with all of these people. quite often they were the only, it was just one guest, like Betty Davis was on for 90 minutes, Katharine Hepburn was on for 90 minutes. Great conversations. Then we have Comic Legends. Okay, this has Woody Allen, Lucille Ball, Jack Benny, Carol Burnett, Mel Brooks, George Burns, Bill Cosby, Bob Hope, Jerry Lewis, Groucho Marx, and the Smothers Brothers. Okay, so how can you not have these? Next up is the Dick Van Dyke Show, and I have all 5 seasons of the Dick Van Dyke Show, which is still one of the funniest shows that I ever get a chance to watch. 5 seasons, and the first 3 seasons that I have feature this original packaging, which has this very cool TV logo on the front, which is just really cool. I only brought one down to show you. And let's see. Finally, to end up this video, so we won't go on too long, I picked this up a while ago just out of curiosity. These 2 thin packs. This is a French musical show from the 1960s, and I'm not sure how this would be pronounced. Probably Dim Dom Dom, or Dim Dam Dom, but I guess the French would have, well, Dim Dom Dom. Anyway, it's just a musical program. A lot of artists lip syncing their latest hits. A lot of people I never heard of, but it also has people like Jimi Hendrix is on one. We have Johnny Halliday. We have who are these people? The Bee Gees show up on one of them. The Easy Beats, Sylvie Vartan. Lots of French performers that I don't know anything about, but it's just very colorful and very 60s. So I thought I would pick it up just for fun. So anyway, that's part 2. Thank you for watching, and I will be back. Let me know if you know anything about these programs. Good night.